that just really wants to unlock those doors at the beginning of the day and then lock them up at the end of the day, realize that going all-inclusive is a ridiculous amount of work. And we're gonna get to all the work and what's going to happen throughout this entire presentation. So the first thing is to understand the actual couple itself and how that couple has changed. So couples today, they're not so overwhelmed by weddings. They are really overwhelmed by life. Think about what they're going through on a regular day compared to what you went through, maybe whenever you were getting married. Each year, things continuously shift. So the faster expectations, we can thank Jeff Bezos for that, of course, Amazon. We can now get a package delivered to our door within minutes. Most of us would avoid going to, let's say, Walmart if we know that we can just go on Amazon and get it delivered within a few minutes. There's definitely lower patience because of that. We feel we want, or we should have everything instantly, and we want it instantly. And then there's definitely a higher demand for simplicity. All of that we're gonna cover and how to overcome what that normal couple is going through. So my name is Joe DeStefano, and I also own the Bella Colina Mansion out in Stokesdale, North Carolina, which is an all-inclusive venue, and I own other venues, and I'm also a vendor. I own bakeries, and there's a bunch of stuff that goes into it, so I can see all sides of it. But let's talk about, should you incorporate yourself with an all-inclusive package or not? I'm gonna give you all that information today, of course, as a vendor, as a venue. We're gonna make sure that we cover both sides, but my really big, my proud moment is when I can get a vendor to think like a venue, and when I can get a venue to think like a vendor. Because when we do that, we're able to work together in a collective manner. So let me start with something simple, and something I think we can all agree upon. Modern couples today are highly budget conscious. During the process, they'll research cost, compare value, and track every dollar. They aren't just planning a wedding, they're planning an investment. They live in a world of instant gratification, we touched on that. Their phones, they give them answers in seconds. I mean, I think everybody in this room, and I wanna say there's probably 200 or so, that we probably all have ChatGPT on our phone at this point. You have a question, it's gonna give you an answer. Google, same thing. There's plenty of sites out there that give us the answers we need within minutes. We've talked about how Amazon will deliver packages within a few hours, and their wedding inspiration just floods their feed. So you can look at something on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or whatever the case may be, and you will see your algorithm changing within seconds because it's going to feed off of what it is that you're stopping on. You stop on a Nike sneaker commercial for about 3 seconds, and all of a sudden you're gonna start to see a lot more Nike sneakers. So can you imagine what these couples are going through and what their feeds look like, and their inspiration continuously changes depending on the day? They expect to be able to understand everything easily and be able to compare everything easily, and then be able to easily book the venue. I was on just scrolling through my feed yesterday, and I saw one couple in a budget wedding group. I like to pay attention to all of them. And the question was, how much should I hound my venue to be able to book? And I just thought to myself, God bless, don't let this be anybody in the room tomorrow. So they actually felt like, they said that they could see, and some of you probably have seen the post, that they could see the venue reading the messages, but the venue simply wasn't responding. Why? It drives me insane to think that that venue either doesn't have the time to respond, which is probably one of the reasons, or simply is just bypassing without understanding what that couple is going through. So why would a venue want to go all-inclusive? Let's talk about that first, and then I promise you we're going to get to the vendors. So something I love to do is, if I say I'm going to get back to something, I'm going to get back to it, because I need to collect all these wonderful balls at the end of the presentation. So I'm going to give it to you. There we go. And it landed on her head. So I'm going to give it to you, and I am going to ask for that ball back whenever we talk about the vendor side. So all-inclusive venues, they definitely convert leads faster. And I'm going to go into why they convert leads faster. Today's couple wants clarity. They want transparency. They want to know. Let's talk about what they want to know. What's included and what's it gonna cost me? So when you go all-inclusive, you are responsible for a lot. You have to decide how all-inclusive do I like to go. Me personally, I like to give either or options whenever I'm presenting vendors. This way nothing ever falls back on me. I don't want to say this is the only caterer that you can go with, or this is the only DJ you can go with. What I enjoy doing is giving options, and then that couple chooses. If something were to go wrong with the relationship, it strictly doesn't fall on me. I'm still introducing them, so there is a portion that I need to be responsible for. An all-inclusive package removes friction. It shortens the decision cycle. And I'm gonna say a lot of this, and it's gonna start to make sense to you. Couples don't have to spend days or months comparing vendors, right? Checking availability or worrying about what they actually may be forgetting. The result from that equals faster bookings. You end up with fewer tours, less window shoppers, if you will, and definitely a higher inquiry to contract ratio. So let's talk about that predictability. You're definitely going to end up with consistent revenue streams whenever you go all-inclusive. When your venue controls, or at least partners to control, more elements of the wedding, you're no longer just selling a space. You're selling an absolute full experience. How can I put this? When you decide you are going to take responsibility for all of these vendors, and I want to say at Bella Collina we have close to 200 vendors that are associated with us. You definitely allow yourself more reliable forecasting and that higher booking ratio. Your revenue stops being dependent on just your availability and starts being more dependent on how complete your packages are. You have complete control, in essence, over the guest experience. When couples bring in random vendors, you don't know how their standards, their professionalism, or their execution is going to unveil. But with an all-inclusive model, the vendors that you chose are now vetted. You know these people personally. The execution, it's consistent. The event flow, definitely smoother. The client blames less people for what goes wrong, if anything goes wrong. And in short, you control that experience within the four walls, which is protecting your reputation. I'll never forget the first time, and one of the reasons why I went all-inclusive, that I didn't have an all-inclusive wedding, and the client decided to bring their own caterer. Now, God bless if there's any caterers in the group, and I'm sure that there are. I know this isn't you, but I ended up getting a review after the wedding, and they reviewed the venue because they didn't know the caterer's name. And they complained, and they gave me a 4-star review because the chicken that was served was cold. So let's talk about how that happens. And vendors, you kind of get away from this one a little bit, but venues, you really don't. When the couple decides to send out an RSVP card, they have the venue name on that card. When the customer, the guest, if you will, decides to get in the vehicle and drive to the venue, a lot of times we don't depend on just knowing exactly where it is. We're going to put it in GPS, right? Or you're driving from afar. So then you put that venue name into your GPS. Now, as soon as you do that, wonderful Google, after you're done with the day, the following day, it's going to say, would you like to be able to review this venue? It promotes you, which it's supposed to do, except in the case for all-inclusive. Because when they're promoting you, but that person ate cold chicken, didn't complain about it, didn't go talk to the caterer, they don't know the caterer that the client chose. They don't know who that caterer was. So they can't go on, they're not being pushed to review the caterer either. So they remember the venue from the RSVP card, they remember the venue from when they typed it in GPS, everything on the grounds is venue, venue, venue. It is being planted in their mind, and then whenever the review comes up, if anything went wrong, God bless, it's on the venue. So you want to be careful that the vendors that you decide to vet are going to be vendors that you truly trust because they're going to represent you. But the benefit is fewer surprises, which is nice, happier couples. All-inclusive packages eliminate the most common wedding headaches. We didn't realize we need that. How many times do you hear a couple say that? The vendor didn't show up on time, but they chose them, right? We didn't budget correctly. That one is a huge one because let's face it, when they choose the venue, they really don't know how much everything else costs. They could have a budget, and let's just use round numbers and really small because I'm not that smart. Let's say $10,000. And let's say the venue itself is $5,000 of that $10,000. Somewhere in their head, they feel like I can get catering, photography, DJ, and florist for that extra $5,000, if you will. And they don't think to look, well, not all of them, of course, some don't think to look to see how much catering in that area is actually gonna cost them, how much the average DJ goes for. Based on your style of photography, what does that typical photographer kind of range at? That's not something that's in the mind when they're booking the venue, but the problem is they still have that $10,000 budget that they need to stay within. Hence, we didn't budget correctly. When the venue guides the process, the couple feels safer, supported, and definitely more confident in the process. And when you have happy couples, you have great reviews. Stronger vendor partnerships definitely equal a stronger community. Participating or creating all-inclusive packages means that vendors get consistent work. And I can tell you, the vendors that surround themselves with the mansion in Stokesdale, they absolutely love it because they know that they can count on a certain amount of business every single year. Vendors get consistent vendor performance. Venues get consistent vendor performance. When you know the same people that are showing up all the time, you're able to know exactly what their pros, what their strengths and their weaknesses are, if you will. And then you could start to work around some of those strengths and weaknesses. But the benefit is both sides will grow together. And it's gonna take a little bit of time. And I use the analogy that if we needed to find a cure for something or solve a problem and we put 6 scientists into a room and they didn't know each other, they will eventually, hopefully, solve that problem. But now keep those same 6 scientists working together, those great minds working together, and allow them to solve the next problem, and then the next problem, and then the next problem. What ends up happening is they learn each other's strengths and weaknesses, they feed off of each other, they know who to trust, what not to trust, and eventually they become a really solid team. That's what you're looking for in your vendor community. And vendors, of course, you're looking for partnerships from those venues that you could be a part of because it's gonna eliminate a lot of extra stress in your life. And again, we're gonna go into that. I threw the orange ball. We're gonna collect that here in just a little bit. But it definitely builds what I call a wedding ecosystem, where everybody wins, especially the client. So number 6, all-inclusive solves the decision overwhelm problem. And it's a big problem and a problem that not a lot of people understand. The couple today has so many more options whenever it comes to vendors. There are so many more photographers, caterers, DJs, florists, bakers, coordinators, all over the place. And a lot of times we end up with the ones who come in and then jump back out. I had a really pretty wedding, I think I could do this, and then boom, you jump on into it without putting all the effort into it, and then eventually that person jumps back out. The market is saturated. So how do you separate yourself from those people? Well, Millennial and Gen Z couples, they make hundreds of micro decisions every single day. Wedding planning can easily add thousands more. All-inclusive packages, it gives them relief. Just guide me, tell me what the best options are, make this easier. Now when they trust you, that's easy to be able to do. And if you presented the venue in a clear manner, you're confident, they are going to trust you, especially if they love the space. So when you solve their overwhelm problem, if you will, they reward you with that loyalty and faster booking decisions. A relationship at that point really is truly created. You stand out in a crowded market. So a venue that offers all-inclusive and can get that client from point A to point Z without all the headache and the drama is definitely gonna stand out versus the venue that's more just turn the key in the morning, turn the key at night, and I have to do everything myself. Most venues sell the same thing. A historical barn, a beautiful ballroom, stunning views, mountaintop, etc. But very few sell the, we take care of absolutely everything. Why? Because all-inclusive isn't just a package. It's a competitive differentiator. And that's something to really think about. It allows you to be able to create a signature wedding experience concept. I want you just for a second to think Disney, think sandals, think cruise ships. Their secret isn't the product. It's the curated experience. Where do you vacation? I can ask 100 of you, where do you vacation? All-inclusive allows the venue to establish a recognizable brand. It delivers consistency, and it builds a reputation for ease and excellence. This becomes your signature, and it's what's going to separate you from the market. So vendors, I need that ball back because I hit it. So vendors, we have, why would you want to be included in all-inclusive? So today's couple values emotional safety a lot more than creative control. The predictability, the speed, the clarity, that stress reduction, if you will, that's what's going to sell them. Let's talk shops. Let's figure out how you do this. So referrals can easily close over 75% of what the venues send your way, especially if you're within that network, right? Imagine the money that you're going to be saving on advertising, because this part gets really, really big. Right now, you are attending a ridiculous amount of wedding shows in your area. You're probably advertising on Google, Facebook, all meta, if you will, TikTok, so on and so forth. But you're advertising in hopes that that one person sees your product and then books you. Now imagine how simple this is. The client goes to the venue, and the venue sells your services, and all you have to do is show up and meet the client for more than likely a 75% closing ratio. And what did that cost you? I'll tell everybody the exact same thing. It costs you time, nothing more than time. Creating a partner in profit mentality is what's going to separate you from all the other vendors in your area. It gives you consistent, predictable work without all the advertising cost. Wedding vendors spend thousands on those social media ads, the bridal shows, SEO, lead generation sites, networking events, so on and so forth. And I'm not saying to stop. I'm saying you can definitely go less and still obtain more by getting part of all-inclusive packages. This is a direct advertising without any of the cost. When you're part of that preferred venues package, you skip my God, you pretty much skip everything. You just get straight to the source. Pre-qualified, ready to book clients. This means no more chasing couples, no more couples ghosting you, no more feast or famine seasons, and your work calendar becomes sustainable and predictable. You end up with shorter sales cycles, more bookings, less effort. The couple tends to trust you because they trust the venue that they book, and that venue trusts you. So when the venue says, here are our preferred vendors, the client sees you differently. They don't see you as a salesperson, but as a trusted part of the wedding team. This dramatically shortens the sales funnel. Less explaining, less selling, faster deposits, higher booking rates. Those are guarantees. Nobody can tell you any differently. Think of it, and my wife she ran her first marathon, and I think she's gonna end up running a ton more. But think of it as starting a marathon at mile 23. That's the difference. You reduce your competition. When you're inside of a venue's package, you're not competing with 300 local photographers and 150 DJs and so many other florists and planners. You're competing with just a few because the venue has already elevated you as their partner of choice. And this exclusiveness is gold. You end up with higher client satisfaction because the team actually knows each other. Think about those 6 scientists in a room and how fast and how great they can make everything happen. When vendors work together repeatedly at the same venue or the same venues, communication automatically improves, workflow becomes seamless, mistakes drop, and performance rises. Look, we have all been there. We've all been there where you walk into a venue for the first time and you are hoping that you know somebody because you're the stranger, you're the outsider, if you will, and you're going into somebody else's home, if you will. And you really want to perform well for the client. You really want to be able to perform well for yourself. But that anxiety that we feel, all of that is reduced when we start working with the same team over and over again. Your work looks better because your environment supports you. Couples definitely notice it. The venue definitely notices it, and future clients are certainly going to notice it. You have that built-in reputation growth. Almost every time a couple books the venue, they meet you. Now it depends on how exclusive you are with the venue and what your booking looks like as far as how your calendar looks, but the goal is they're going to meet you. Almost every time a guest attends an event, again, they're going to see your work. And almost every time the venue posts content, you're now part of it because as we know, using everybody else's social media is so powerful. So this is how vendors become the name in their region. It stabilizes revenue during the slow or unpredictable seasons. The wedding industry is not steady. Some months the phone rings nonstop. Other months, crickets. But venues have year-round inquiries, and they do. Now granted, engagement season starts on Thanksgiving and it ends sometime at the end of March, beginning of April, because we have the most important holidays during that season, right? Most people, the 80% of the majority that are out there, love to be able to do that engagement in front of family. Or they'll ask the family members, can I so-and-so, and then do it a little bit privately, but it always happens around that same time. We, of course, have Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, Valentine's Day. That's the reason why 80% of the time we have that engagement season in that small bubble. So, but venues also have year-round inquiries. Being part of their package allows you to be able to tap into their corporate events, their elopements, their micro weddings, mini-monies, off-season discount packages, weekday bookings. It basically stabilizes your cash flow. You gain an advocate inside the venue, and I've watched this happen time and time again. A venue who loves you becomes part of your marketing team, your sales rep, your hype squad, if you will. They talk about you on tours. They praise you in consultations. They defend your pricing. They recommend you before the couple even knows your name. And you can't buy powerful advertising like that. Just imagine in a world where you're part of an all-inclusive package and the venue is mentioning your name to a couple who has never heard about you before. And then that couple books you. How powerful is that? You have a whole lot less administration work. The vendors, they lose countless hours on email chains, pricing questions, repetitive. I'm gonna have a rough time with this one. Repetitive consultations, timeline edits, and payment follow-ups. When you're in a package, the venue educates the client. The venue sets those expectations. The venue answers preliminary questions. The venue keeps communication streamlined. The vendors have more time to do what they actually love, which is their craft. So we have the perfect trifecta in this business. When you strip weddings down to their core, the industry is built on this simple, powerful trifecta. You have the venue, where all the magic happens. You have the vendors, the experts who bring their day to life, and then you have the client, who's inevitably going to work with the both of you. These three parties are already connected, already interdependent, already destined to collaborate. The only real question is, how do we guide couples toward the right combination of vendor and venue so that everybody wins? Because when you help a client gain access to not just the venue, but to the best venue of their vision, paired with the best vendors that the venue trusts, approves of, and works seamlessly with, the result is a win for every single person involved. And here's the truth. For years, we've let the client choose freely. I'm gonna get some frowning faces because of that. And that's not a bad thing. But the clients can only choose from what they know, from what they Googled, from what a maid of honor or bridesmaid maybe suggested, from who they stumbled across on Instagram. How many times have we heard a couple say, I wish I would have known about you sooner? I know we've all heard it. That sentence is proof that the trifecta exists, but it's not being connected as intentionally as we would like it to be. All-inclusive packages-based collaboration doesn't just create a new ecosystem. It aligns the one that already exists and simply makes it better. It unfolds a true potential for venues, vendors, and the couples that we serve. So how does it work? Let's talk about it. First, we have to agree on pricing, right? And I'm gonna get to that, I promise you. Where do we get that? My favorite source is the Wedding Report. Shane at the Wedding Report is great. He puts together all the data for you. All you have to do is tap into his platform and you can see what all of the DJs on average charge in a particular zip code, a particular county, a region, whatever you want to be able to do. photography, florist, everything is there for you. So when we choose to work together, truly together, we create something bigger than any one of us. We create an environment where vendors now feel supported, where venues now feel empowered, and the client simply feels peace. Collaboration isn't just good for business, it's how we elevate the entire wedding experience. So let's share the secret sauce. How do we get to that particular pricing? I'm going to share the one for the Stokesdale, North Carolina venue, and I can promise you that my California venues that are here are gonna look at me like I'm cross-eyed, but you can only charge what your geographical area is going to allow you to charge. So I can tell you the mansion out in Stokesdale, the venue alone is $8,500, okay? $8,500, they get tables and chairs, the space for one day, pretty simple. The all-inclusive wedding experience, which includes catering for up to 75 people, photography, 8 hours, one photographer writes the edited images, the DJ, who's gonna take care of the entire event for 6 hours. You have centerpieces that'll go on 20 tables, and in this one here, we don't include the cake, but in my next package up, we include the cake. And then it includes all the rentals, which is your glassware, your stemware, your napkins, your china, flatware, everything that you need, including all the linens, chairs, tables. That's $14,495 for 75 people. So when I say I can include all the food, the photography, the DJ, the catering, the florist, the flowers, if you will, the centerpieces, I can include the rentals, I can include, and in this one we actually include coordination as well for $14.95 for 75 people, and you can always add on to that, or just the venue only for $8,500. You can see how attractive that $14,495 becomes. And when we sell this, we're also taking care of a lot of our vendors. Now, vendors, I'm gonna shoot the blue ball. Beautiful. So on the vendor side, just know, I expect that back. I expect it back. So on the vendor side, this is just getting you in with the client. There's nothing more than that. You still have all your upgrades that you're gonna have to be able to do. And you can sell a ton, but we'll go into how that all takes place. So package one, you can name it anything that you want, simple, usually something that goes with your venue. So if it's a mountaintop venue, of course, have fun with it. If you are a venue that's rustic or industrial, have some fun with it, like steel, copper, blah, 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 blah. The venue price itself is $8,500. Again, keep in mind, only talking about Stokesdale, North Carolina, very, very small little area, North Carolina, pretty diverse, but right in the middle. So catering, 75 guests, $44 a head equals $3,300. So that caterer knows to be able to supply, and usually again, we like to give an either or choice. The caterer knows to be able to supply, let's say bison or crispy duck, and then 2 sides, sweet tea, unsweet tea, water, lemonade, plated meal. That caterer is going to get paid $44 a head. At 75 guests, that's $3,300. Now, that same caterer may have to be able to accommodate 175 guests. Pretty simple. You would just take 100, times it by 44, $4,400 on top of $3,300, and you end up with what, $7,700 is the base price. That's just covering their head count. Now we still have cocktail hour, we still have add-ons that they may want to do, an after dinner snack, cheeseburger sliders or pork sliders are always really fun. So there's plenty of other stuff that they can add on as a caterer, but the caterer is getting in the door at that base price to do the crispy duck or the bison or whatever the case may be, 2 sides, sweet tea, unsweet tea, water, lemonade. The photographer, 8 hours, writes to all the edited images, one photographer, and again, 8 hours, writes to all the edited images, with an engagement or a bridal session is $29.50. Now, photography kind of varies. We have some photographers who really don't charge a lot, and then we have other photographers that charge a good amount, but for $29.50, you're getting your foot in the door. We know at this point you can still sell another engagement or bridal session. We know that you can still sell additional hours. We know that you can still sell your second photographer. And we know that you can still sell albums, whichever 300% markup. This is all extra. The goal is just get your foot in the door. DJ services. It's a 6-hour event. DJ is going to be there for 8 hours. That includes an hour of setup, an hour of tear down, and 6 hours for the actual event. The DJ is also going to provide uplights. The DJ is going to get paid $1,000. Now the DJ can still add on a monogram light, different experiences like a photo booth or something, and all of those are add-ons if they want to. Decor. It includes 20 centerpieces, which is valued at $585. Now the other thing that we've been able to do is talk about getting a few flowers into that, and then of course they could pick up and use the credit toward flowers. But for $585, we actually purchased all the centerpieces, and we have a variation of white, black, that rose-colored gold, and then we place the centerpieces on the table and they just add on to it. The wedding cake, a 3-tier buttercream wedding cake. The allowance is $500 to feed 75 people. I don't think there's a baker in the room that can't say they can build a 3-tier buttercream wedding cake and deliver it for $500 for 75 people. And again, this is just the base. If they add another 100 people onto this package, then you're gonna price it out appropriately. Rentals for up to 75 people. A lot of venues just give away their rentals and just don't include it as an actual add-on, something that they should be accounting for, but they have to constantly replace their rentals. The tables, the chairs, the place settings, the linens, everything eventually has a lifespan, and you have to constantly invest in that. So that should become part of your pricing. So I make sure that I include $600 for rentals as an allowance, so this way I understand how much I'm making on every wedding for those rentals. And then you have coordination. So I allow $287 to be put aside for coordination, to be able to pay that coordinator for day of coordination, and usually it's one of my staff members. But at the same time, you can adjust that to be $1,000 for coordination added into the package, which now gives you $1,287. Again, adjust the package price, and instead of this one being $17,995, it would be $18,995. And now you have $1,287 set aside for coordination for the day. Now, just like every other vendor, that vendor who's a coordinator has to be able to upsell. This includes month of coordination. So, and you can even do day of coordination if you really want to, but that coordinator can now sell more. They can do 6 months of coordination for this price, so on and so forth. All of this is just about getting your foot in the door. So next we have package 2. I always do 3 packages, and I do 3 packages because it allows that decision making to happen but not be overwhelmed. Package 2, the venue is $8,500 still. The venue never changes per the package. The venue always stays the same amount. But now catering is $75 at $24 a head. But let's talk about what changes. It's no longer crispy duck, bison, or lobster or something like that. Now you're gonna go down to that chicken pork option. The other thing that changes is it's no longer a plated meal. It's going to be formal buffet style. So you go from $44 a head and down to $24 a head. There's a $20 difference. $10 is to plate the meal. $10 is for the elevated meal. Can we make this happen? Absolutely. I haven't had a caterer say no to me yet. Photography, the same 8 hours, but now this is where those levels of photography take place. So you have 3 levels in my mind as far as photography, and then you have the ones that are outside and they have no problem being able to obtain their own clients. But this one here, it's $1,400 for photography, and all it includes is 8 hours for that photographer and the rights to the edited images. The photographer is still going to sell an engagement session, bridal session, extra hours, second photographer, additional albums, so on and so forth. But it gets them in the door at that $1,400. Those photographers are typically around $2,000 on their own, $2,000, $2,500. They're willing to take the hit because they no longer have to put money toward advertising. They don't have to collect all the fees. The venue will do all the collections. All they get to do is their trade itself, and it gets them in front of more people. And if it's a really pretty venue, it of course allows that photographer to showcase their work a little bit better. Next, we have that same decor, the 20 centerpieces, $585. And then we have that same wedding cake for $500 for the allowance, but it's a 3-tier, 75 people, pretty simple. Still has the rentals, pretty simple, and still has that coordination. And this one here, because the numbers just happen to work out this way, we allow $314 for the coordinator, $1,314 if you were to bump that up the extra $1,000. My last final package, which is my most affordable package, the venue again never changes, it's still $8,500. Catering is still $24 a head, and you still have 75 people. Photography, it lowers down to now that beginning session of photography, the ones who just kind of came out into business and are like, I really need to be able to put together a portfolio, blah, 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 blah. They're gonna get paid $900 for the 8 hours worth of work, and they can still add on everything that they wanna add on. I have photographers in this package, even though they're contracted for $900, their average price out the door is between $2,800 and $3,200 because they're selling albums, they're doing engagement sessions, they're doing bridal sessions. It's pretty simple. DJ services are $800. Decor, same thing. Wedding cake, same thing. Rental, same thing. Coordination is now at $314 with, again, $1,314 if you booked it up $1,000. So the packages really remain the exact same for the venue. What changes is the type of vendors in each package. So let's talk about that. The 3 packages, they can have the exact same caterers for each one of the 3 packages. And my caterers do it all the time. The same caterer that can do that chicken or pork meal, if you will, is easily going to be able to do that duck, that crispy duck, that bison, lobster, whatever the case may be. And they can also do a plated meal versus a formal buffet. So you can use a lot of the same caterers within those packages, depending on which package that client wants. The DJs, the florist, the bakers, and the rental company, you can use the same ones. There's no difference there. What really changes is photography, and we talked about it a little bit, how I like to do 3 separate tiers for photography, and you can price this out however you want to, but you have your higher end photography, your middle photography, and your lower end photography. You're not gonna find a photographer on the higher end that's willing to go down to the lower end, and if a photographer on the lower end tries to go toward the higher end, they're not gonna get chosen based on what other photographers are already in that package. The other thing I also make sure is that what I'm paying that photographer or DJ or caterer, whatever the case may be, is never more than what they publish on their website, because we obviously don't want to do that, right? So if you sub out coordination and line yourself with a bunch of coordinators that are in that package, if you don't want to do the coordination yourself, just make sure that there is a difference. You have some people who got married and they're like, I can do this, and they have 0 experience and they just think they can do it, because we live in a world where everybody thinks that they can do anything, especially if they watch a YouTube video. I didn't think I could do a lecture just 2 days ago. I'm joking. So you want to make sure that the people you align yourself with are true professionals. Check out their reviews, make sure that you truly vet them. That's gonna be the difference. So never stop selling your venue. It's the difference between booking a flight and booking a full vacation package, right? Either which way you're going, either which way the client is still hopefully going to book you. You don't stop selling venue only if you don't want to. It's just that the all-inclusive becomes that much more attractive. So venue only, just the flight. All-inclusive, flight, hotel, meals, excursions, concierge, everything. So 2 big questions. As a venue, how do I get vendors to say yes? And as a vendor, why would I agree to this? I'm glad you asked. If you know me, you know what I'm gonna say next. Let's role play. So we're gonna role play. I will pick one person in the group just to be able to go back and forth, and let's just be real about it and hit me up with whatever questions that you want. Everybody's like, oh no, not me. So let's choose you. And what is your profession?
I'm a florist.
Wonderful, my most difficult category. No, I'm joking. So you're a florist, and if I told you that I want you to become part of my package, obviously you want to know what's in it for you, right?
Correct.
Okay, so with that being said, I will pay you $585, which seems like a ridiculously small amount to be able to even drive to the venue. Are we on the same page so far?
Probably, yes.
Okay. So for $585, what I want you to be able to do for the venue, and I'll show you what's in it for you, I want you to be able to give me the bride's bouquet. We'll play with opposite sex at this point. So I want you to be able to give me the bride's bouquet, the groom's boutonniere. The bride's bouquet, we're not looking, so I always say that 33% of the body width is what you want the bouquet to essentially be. So let's just say we're gonna do bride's bouquet about this big right here, pretty standard size if you will. And it has to be common flowers for the type of season that we're in. So I'm not gonna ask you to provide sunflowers in December. if
Okay.
that makes sense, okay? Bride's bouquet, groom's boutonniere. Are we okay with $585 so far?
So far,
It sounds pretty good, right? It's not horrible,
it's not horrible.
just to get your foot into the door. But now on top of that, is the kicker, I also want you to be able to provide 4 more bridesmaids bouquets. Now we're getting a little bit more expensive, right? Bridesmaids bouquets are gonna be smaller than the bride's bouquet, of course, in the maid of honor. And then I want you to be able to provide on top of that 4 more boutonnieres. We're getting more expensive now, but I'm not gonna stop because I'm greedy. I'm gonna keep asking for more. And then I want you to be able to provide the wristlet corsage that goes on mom and mom on both sides. And then I want you to also provide, because I can't stop asking, 2 more boutonnieres for both sides for the dad. Okay? Now we're getting to the point where it's like, wait, is it worth it? Am I gonna be able to do this? And I can feel you, because I have this conversation all the time. So the question I'm gonna ask you is, it's not, are you going to make a profit on that $585 for the bride's bouquet, groom's boutonniere, 4 to the right, 4 to the left, mom, dad, mom, dad. I'm not asking you if you're gonna make a profit. What I'm gonna ask you is if we keep the flowers to where they need to be, and you have the full authority to be able to decide this, can you break even with this amount?
Depending on the current cost of flowers, I could probably break even.
She said that she can probably break even. I'm gonna go a little bit farther and say she's gonna break even. But let's talk about it. So now, why would you do it if all you're gonna do is break even, right? Okay. That right there is gonna be the cost of being able to do business with the venue. So let's explain that. I'm not looking for you to work for free. And we know that the cost is gonna come pretty close to what it is that I'm asking you to be able to provide to the venue. But now let's talk about how much you're going to charge to be able to do their entire ceremony. Let's talk about that arch, right? How much flowers are gonna be on that, what the average price of that would be. Let's go ahead and talk about all of the other family members, including the additional bridesmaids, additional groomsmen. Let's talk about all the grandmas, grandpas, and everybody else that are gonna become part of the bridal party, and know that you have your own pricing for all of them, okay? Now let's also talk about cocktail hour. Let's talk about the fact that you're gonna wanna decorate cocktail hour on those cocktail tables, so on and so forth. Maybe a memorial table. Let's talk about a greeting table. And then let's talk about, because we're subbing out the florist, we're not including centerpieces in this package, which means if the couple has 20 tables, you have 20 centerpieces, right?
Right.
You are dictating your own pricing for all of that stuff. The only thing that you're agreeing to is bride, groom, 4 to the right, 4 to the left, mom, dad, basically at cost to get your foot in to everything else that you can charge for and be able to make money for, including a delivery fee. Now, can you make money on that?
Are you making a cut?
No,
Yes, I can make money on that.
I'm not making a cut, because what I do is I just appreciate you being part of my package. Because when we offer all-inclusive, I'm basically taking what it is that I know is a fair price for what I'm asking you to be able to do, and then I'm passing those savings on to the couple. But for you, you're getting referred to almost every daggone couple that I know. That's the difference. And I can do this with each trade. I can do it with photography, with DJ services, with anything. You give me the trade, and I'm gonna show you how it makes sense, because I've been doing it for 13 years.
Do you
So-
charge the vendor to be a part of the package?
Can I have back my ball, please? Somebody, thank you. All right. All right. I do not charge the vendor to be part of the package. For me, it's a courtesy that you are part of the package, and I truly believe in partners in profit. You see, when we all work together and we collaborate, like what I was talking about before, we have that opportunity to create the perfect trifecta and continuously work together, continuously bring all that business together. And I know that whenever you go to post about this wedding, you're gonna tag me in all your social media posts, which means I'm not just using my socials anymore to be able to promote me, I'm using your socials to be able to promote me as well.
Nice.
So it works together if we just work together. All right, so in closing, in an all-inclusive model, the magic isn't just in what we offer, it's how we collaborate. Venues, vendors are no longer separate puzzle pieces, if you will. Together, we show the completed picture. When we choose unity over fragmentation, we reclaim control of the client experience, protect the quality of our craft, and build a system where success is now shared. The client needs each of us. We've determined that. And now, working as one, we finally hold the pen that writes this entire story. So I'm gonna end it with the fact that if you need to learn a little bit more about all-inclusive packages, know that I'm here. Know that I'm willing to talk to you. Know that we can do a Zoom sometime next week and we can talk more about how it works for your venue, and we can talk more about, as a vendor, how it works whenever you become part of a venue and you don't lose too much, but at the same time you're gaining so much more than you have today. Before we wrap up today, I'm gonna leave you with a question, and not one that I'm gonna ask you or you're gonna answer, not one that you're definitely gonna answer out loud, but one that echoes long after you walk out of this room. For years, maybe decades, we've been doing business the way how we've been taught to do business, the way the industry taught us to do business, the way tradition insisted that we had to do business. We built our processes, we built our pricing, our partnerships on what we thought made sense, on what everybody else was doing, and on what felt safe. But here's the uncomfortable truth. What if the path we have been walking was never actually the path to success? What if the real opportunity, exponential growth, the happier clients, the stronger community, and the financial stability was just sitting a few inches to the left of where you've always been? When selling prices instead of the whole experience changes? What if everything we believed about how business had to be was actually the very thing holding us back? Today wasn't about giving you just a new idea. It was about giving you an opportunity to evolve, opportunity to rethink, an opportunity to break the pattern. Because success doesn't just come from doing more, it comes from doing it differently. So I'll leave you with this. Are you willing to unlearn what's familiar in order to build what's possible? Because the people who said yes to that question are the people who are gonna walk out of here and they're gonna change the entire game in their area. That's all I got for today. If you need anything, come by and see me at my booth. I'll be happy to talk to you. Appreciate you.